Welcome to Your Funeral Music. Each week, we welcome a new guest to share the songs they want played at their funeral to help us, the living, contemplate our own mortality. Thank you for joining us. I'm Michael Vensky. What songs do you want played at your funeral? If you have songs in mind, consider sharing those tunes with our community. You can learn more at yourfuneralmusic.com. Our guest of the week is Mark Haugen. Mark is on a journey of becoming who he is and who he will be. Most know him as a DJ who loves conversations with strangers who become his friends. Mark, he loves to travel and spend time with his family, seeing new places and experiencing new things. He also has an inspiring adoption story. He got to meet his birth mom later in life, and he loves sharing their story with the world. Perhaps we'll get to hear that tonight. This is Your Funeral Music, Mark H. Thank you for joining us. Now, Mark, as a human person on a journey, you are, in addition to being a professional DJ, you're here tonight because you've curated this very special list of 10 songs, 9 of which are totally new to me. And your funeral music, it took me down a lot of different rabbit holes. So I'm glad you're here with us tonight.
Great to be here.
I'm glad you're going to share your tunes and the meaning behind all of this wonderful music. Before we start, I guess, do you have any questions for me?
I guess I'm just so thrilled to be a part of this adventure. I feel like Alice tumbling down a rabbit hole, and I'm excited to join it with you in this wonderful place of life right now.
Aside from, this program, right, have you ever explored music for end of life before?
I think that what I've done is constantly explored music because that's all I do every weekend is play music at weddings or 5K race. This last weekend, I'm actually doing an event coming up at the end of July at McAllister for someone who has gone on to the next portion of life. They passed away from cancer a year and a half ago, but their wife and their 2 children left behind wanted to do a celebration for him, and he wanted that, but he was, he didn't make it. So people are flying all across the country to be here to celebrate this person's life, and that's actually when it was actually 4 different friends from my old neighborhood in West 7th and St. Paul dropped my name to this woman and said, you have to get Mark to be your DJ for this. It'll be perfect. And it really is perfect, not because of my skill, but because of like my heart for celebrating life while we have it. And I never wanted to have a traditional funeral. I've always wanted it to be so uplifting. So that's really where, I'm constantly thinking about it. So I wouldn't even say like there was an initial, but running into you and hearing this concept, it was like, yeah, this is it. This is the time to go for it.
You already had a few songs on your playlist, kind of just kicking around in the back of your mind then?
Yeah, I would say that like this specific list is not any of what I would have expected. If you surveyed me 4 years ago or 8 years ago, like it would be different. Like this is like, it's right now, but yet it is a culmination. I've been thinking about this, but just not knowing that I was, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
It's like it was, and this is what the universe, God, whatever you want to say, there's forces pulling it together, and you just know this is it. These are the ones. So they're just gifts, and it's a very bizarre list of songs, really.
Really?
When I look at it. I find it so funny that something as sticky as the Battlestar Galactica theme, because I love John Williams and I love all his movies and I love all powerful, but that one, for whatever reason, is like that's the triumphal entry of the beginning of what I want people to hear when the funeral starts.
How do these songs appear in ceremony, or do you imagine like these are the songs you hear on an astral plane, or there's a bell and then the St. Peter's come aboard?
I think when you say, it's your funeral songs, like this is your funeral music. I'm obviously I'm into, like, I do wedding ceremonies every weekend, and I've also become an officiant, and I've also attended quite my share of funerals, and I am into the structure of, delivering or receiving. I love being a guest at a funeral just as I do a wedding, but just there's a place to deliver, like, who is this person? What is this? So to me, this was all sort of predicated on inside of an actual ceremony. However, now that we're talking about it, because everything to me is like it's the outlier of the group, of the theme of the entire thing, because it's been an outlier in my life. It was this catalytic conduit that opened me up to something I was not ready for this at all in my life. I had no chance to stop it. It actually, when I tell the story, it's like, it's the most unbelievable thing that you've ever seen, and that happened. And so that one would be on the astral plane, or the,
Oh, okay.
there's a place for this thing that lives, and it's so big, and there's so much music. I mean, to what's the word? Condense down
Yeah.
all of the music in that era it's impossible. And I'm thankful for that one, because that one stuck out to me from when it came out or whatever, and I can remember it. But yeah, there's a whole astral plane. It's buried deep inside my heart. It's all in my brain. It's everywhere. But it's definitely, I would say, that doesn't have to be in the ceremony.
Okay.
I mean, it doesn't make sense. Everything else, I think, is much more fitting. So there you go.
Do any of these songs speak to those folks in your life? Maybe you want to give them a message through music?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, this is my life message. Is, I would say, Hold On Tight is a good hook of the message that I want to convey. That I don't take your life for granted, because you don't know how long you'll have it. Like, that's what propelled me to do some amazing things in the last few years that I can't believe I got to do, because I've lost so many people just suddenly. And then there's people that have had Parkinson's, and I've been to 2 funerals for my aunt and uncle this last year that are just, and I want to leave behind a message to live your life to the fullest while you have it, because it's just like a blink and it's gone. And so that's my message, is live it to the fullest. And it's a message to myself, because I get depressed at times, whether it's the rainy weather or it's circumstances that I can't fix. I get depressed, and it's like, you got to remember, no, hold on tight, keep going, don't quit, that sort of message. But it's just really hold on tight. And what do you hold on to? The grace of God.
The big sky was watching us, and the breeze was listening to us tell our tale.
Yeah. So this one, because the question again was the emotions. The big blue, like, blue is a big part of, like, this, the blue feeling. But then just how I think that's the mandolin that comes in, and they tinker around in that little bridge. But just, it really answers for me why. Like, and I get taken apart when I finally start to figure out why. Like, why is this stuff happening? And it's directing you to just, again, distill it down. All I really want to do is be close to you. And that's me talking to myself, me talking to those closest to me, God talking to me talking to God, me talking to my soulmate. Like, I want to connect and be integrated. And that song, I would say that's the least emotional crier. All the other ones I cry my eyes out this morning.
I'm so glad you told me that. I will get a box of rags.
A box of rags.
Not tissues.
No. Okay.
Crate of rags.
That's fine. That's fine. If that might just very well happen. Because a lot of these songs just are about loss, and they're connected to people. They're connected to best friends. Rich Mullins himself. The people that you lose, and then you can't communicate. Like, you wanna hold them, you wanna touch them, you wanna be. And I just get so emotional when it comes to like losing, because I was kind of ripped apart from my birth genesis, and I hate that, and I don't want that to be. Disconnection is just, there's something in me that pursues being reconnected, reunited, and never having any break in relationship. It's just so hard. It rips me apart. So that's what gets me, is them. They all get me emotional. I think Song for Rich, because it's an instrumental, probably is the one that, if I really know I gotta cry, I just gotta put that one on. Because that just, because I love bagpipes, but for whatever reason, yeah, it is Irish Celtic, because that's what Rich was, Irish, sort of. He loved Ireland, and that's actually my dream, my next trip. I haven't taken a trip for a while, but that's going to be where I want to go visit. And because U2 is actually my favorite band, and not been there, and I've not seen the Cliffs of Moher and all the things that everybody Instagrams.
Yeah.
I want to go for myself. But yeah, Rich, it's just the person, the music, and then the interaction that I actually got to meet this person. Like, that kind of loss, it just, and how he died, and all of it, it's very gripping to me. And it just, life is so precious. It is so, it's just, to be able to breathe, to be able to be here right now is such a gift. And I really, really want to be a conduit to just encourage people to, like, live it, because this is it. This is it. We get one shot, and we got to live it.
So I'm going to ask this question twice. I'm going to ask you once now, and then again at the end of the show. But up front, how was this process just before doing the show? So everything up to this moment, how has this shaped or changed you in any way, if at all?
Well, the most important thing is that it's helped me go down the rabbit hole, Alice in Wonderland style, and actually just tumble down and experience the pain, and not be afraid of pain, because my personality type is such that tries to avoid really, really painful things, because pain is painful, more painful than I think some people experience it. So I feel like the processes of this has changed me to go into it again and not be afraid to, like, try to let healing happen, as I'm just giving myself to allowing myself to feel the stuff that I feel. And that's how I've changed, is that I think I will hopefully be able to transfer that to my kids, so they see that dad is not afraid of, and he can get through it. But it's not easy. It's very hard, but you can heal. And so I think the biggest thing that it's changed me is, like, I really want to heal. And because it's hard to live wounded. Wounded people wound people.
Yeah. I've heard that before. I've hurt people hurt people. Wounded people hurt people.
And that's what I don't want to be afraid of, the process. In fact, I would say the beginning of this, maybe it might have been within a week or so when we ran into each other, was like, for 2024, was like, surrender to the process, embrace the process. If you do that, then that's all you really, really need to get through anything, is accepting it, surrendering to it. And I am trying desperately to just not go back into, trying to manipulate the process. That's the opposite. It's just trying to control it, what you can't control.
Yeah.
You just can't. You have to let it be. And that's why music, it's so great. The radio, you could be at a store, you can be at the grocery gas pump, and here comes a song. And it just knocks you down, and you're like, it knocks you through or gets you through, So that's it, man. That's the process. It's a process, and I'm here for it.
We are starting our evening here tonight with the Scottish singer-songwriter Greg Holden off their 2015 album Chasing the Sun. The song is Hold On Tight. So when did you discover this song, or this artist or individual? How did this come into your life? Why did you decide to start here?
In one sense, Hold On Tight is what I would say was the first, when we talked. And I was like, okay, you're ready. When we ran into each other at Yellowbird, that was where I went. And that's when the song, that's it. That's the first one. So it makes perfect sense. The song is kind of an anthem. I'm at the middle point of I think I'm coming through into a new season of coming out of people call it a midlife crisis. I don't know. I'm in a new chapter in my life. I'm in a new place. And I believe this song was already on a playlist that I had sent my best friend's son of songs he might like. I don't even know how it came in there, but somehow I saw the song for the first time and played it and actually listened to it. And line by line, it's exactly where I'm at right now. And it's taking all my questions, taking all the things I'm, have been wrestling with, and then it distills it into this message, which is kind of my life message, which is hold on tight to what you've been handed, because you just don't know how long you're going to have it. And this is life, and it's short, and I've lost people, and I don't want to be gone. I want to live a long time. And so
this is advice then to your loved ones. You want them to have these lyrics and to hold dear to them.
Yeah, and I feel like it's living life to the fullest. And for whatever reason, the way this song comes through, it's so brilliant because it's super it's not chill, but it's soft and it builds. And once that drum part comes in, I literally can't help it when I drive, to start drumming. It's so inspiring to me. And that's why, and I mean, it's before we get into why, I literally heard the song. I can't remember. It was early 2024. So that's when I heard it, for real heard it. And I'm like, this is my song. This is my anthem.
You hadn't heard it before 2024?
I know that I'd heard it, on a playlist. I don't even know how I put it on this playlist, but it for whatever reason, I can't think of what got me to find it. But when I did play it, I was like, where has this been all my life? And it's kind of like that with songs. I mean, I've had songs, is Against All Odds, when you hear that as a kid, you're like, wow, cool. But Phil Collins. But then when you go through something and you're in that experience and then you play and you're like, oh, that's what that's about, So this song is really where I'm actually at in 2024.
You've mentioned a number of times that you've been trying to figure out why.
Yeah.
The why.
Yeah.
Why this? Why that? And I'm curious, as a faithful person like yourself, why wonder at all? Right? If you're a faithful person, isn't the why out of your hands?
Right.
And isn't that where faith comes back?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'll give you an example of with my birth mom giving me up, telling my sister, who I never knew for 36 years, that they would pray for me on my birthday, and my sister, it was a secret. It was just my mom and my sister, and they would pray for me. And then my sister would say, I really want to go meet him. Why can't I meet him? She would ask the same question I would say, well, you can't, but one day he will come to me. And so 36 years later, through the connection in Florida that I met my uncle, and through my godfather, blah, 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 get my sister's number, reach out, ring in at New Year's Eve party, basically, into New Year's Day for 4 hours. We're on a video call, meeting each other for the first time. And then my sister tells me, your mom has dementia. You might want to fly out here. So I flew out right away, and then spent 4 days with her. Magical. Got to share my baby picture, do the dream of my life, which was to tell her, thank you. I love you. You give me a wonderful life. And my sister, literally just buckets of tears just falling down. The vision that my mom shared with my sister, that he will come. I came. And then 2 months later, she came here. And this is the very condensed version of all of my story. But my brother-in-law now in Connecticut called, said, hey, sit down. You're not going to believe this. So, because dementia, like, she didn't really know if it was, so I spent time with her, but there was no acknowledgement of who I was. 2 months later, he says, after this church service, she said to him, where's Tracy? That's my sister. Oh, she's in Minnesota visiting her son. He said, it's like she just came out of her shell, looks at him and goes, he came to me. In the exact words, and I like fall over just. And that was same year that in the same season, my best friend passed. Like, I was meeting, craziest year 2012 was, but that was I think that's the crux right there of what you're asking, which I now forget the question.
The why.
Why?
Yeah.
Why is it's accepting, like, that there's so much to life. There's so much, there's things that I want to resolve, and there's always going to be tension. But the things that matter will resolve. Maybe not when you want them to or how you want them to, but they will resolve. There's no matter. No, what is it? No matter created, or I don't know it's not matter.
Energy.
It's transferred. So yeah, that's why. Why is, it's a legitimate question, but I think it's just why is a process. It's not an end.
Thank you for joining us tonight. Our guest of the week is Mark Haugen. Mark, thank you so much for being here.
Wonderful to be here, Michael. Thank you.
I'm glad you're here. You're sharing a bunch of great songs with us tonight. These first ones are all new to me. But our next song, it's coming from Story Hill, a modern folk duo based in Bozeman, Montana, with ties here in Minnesota. And not too long ago, the group, they did announce that they were taking time away from their band Story Hill, stating that the Story Hill Fest 2023 at Clearwater Forest Camp in Minnesota, that will be their last time together for the foreseeable future. So not so subtle reminder that change, once again, is ever present in everyone's life. But this song that we're about to hear, Steady On, Mark, will you just share a little bit about what it means to you?
Yeah, so we'll get into kind of how I bumped into those guys at college. But that song, it's a great song to play like this morning in the rain. It's about geese. You picture you're in a chevron formation you're a goose flying in this thing, and you're the lead goose, and you're getting really tired, and life will tire you out. And there's something to be said for just the melancholy, the pain, the blues that's in that, their voices, their harmonies. but then there's this just lifting up that they do, that it's both painful and yet super steady on. Keep going, because it's life is hard.
Yeah,
and we need hope, and that's why I love that song. It's just, and it makes me think of my best friend who is living and my best friend who has passed, and they would sing it, because they were so inspired by that.
Yeah,
and it's this life and death, because again, don't take your life for granted, because you just don't know. You don't know how much long you have, and so keep going. And it feels almost like there's a kind of a heaven aspect to it, like both a message to those living and to the dead. Like, keep going. Like I think we have this misnomer about what the afterlife is, that's like this end and then the new beginning, and nobody knows what it is. I just think it's just life, and it just takes a new form. And so there's something hopeful, but yet very human, and just there's a lot of loss in it, and I don't know why, but I just love it.
And you have a personal connection too to the gents from Story Hill.
Well, John Hermanson. So I was in college, and so they've gone through many times, because I think they met in the 80s in I think
Bozeman.
They're from Bozeman, but I feel like they went to college, or at least got their Minnesota connections came with college. I think they were in Northfield or Carleton or somewhere, maybe not Carleton, St. Alpha. I'm not sure. It doesn't matter. They came to Morris. They were on their farewell tour in 1997. I wasn't aware of them at all, but I think there was some girls from our there was a group called InterVarsity that I was a part of. These people heard about them, and they were just jacked about them. They went to the show. I didn't know about it. I had something else going on, and I passed by the auditorium, and they were playing this song called Spaces, which just is this intense, like, 2-guitar rocker, and they're just killing it. And I'm like, holy Moses. And I went in there, I didn't have a ticket, but I got in, and I was like, wow. And then like 2 songs later, they played Steady On. And I was like, dude, this is for real. Well, then they came back. Well, what happened was they broke up for a while. John Hermanson then releases a solo record. I have a show in spring of 99, a radio show, KUMM, the radio station at Morris. Then they were having people. I mean, this is so different than what life is like now. But here he is. He's in studio, and they asked me to do the interview. So I got to interview him. So we had this really cool heart-to-heart interview. Just got to know him a little bit. I mean, his solo stuff is different. It's just not the magic that is Story Hill, right? But anyways, we got to know each other there a little bit. And then I have other singer-songwriter friends that knew him. And then sure enough, fast forward to now, or the last few years, living in St. Paul, going to Yellowbird Coffee. Turns out John lives like right behind there, or lived there. He doesn't live there anymore, but he used to live right behind Yellowbird, where you and I met.
Yeah.
Talking about funeral music. So here we go.
It's all connected.
Small world.
Welcome back to Your Funeral Music. Our guest of the week is Mark Haugen. Mark, I really love how in that song there's a lyric, "Chase the whispers of your dreams."
Yes.
That's gorgeous.
It's incredible. And you're the answer why, which is kind of what we all long for when we experience loss. Yeah, you got to chase, you got to live. And then you've got to figure out why things happen, why certain people don't live very long. They die early, suddenly, and they're taken from you, your best friend. That's what happened to mine 12 years ago. Lost him.
Do you find any comfort in your faith for things like that are outside of the realm of our human understanding?
Oh yeah, I mean, I've gone through significant loss, and songs that point to faith, that point to hope beyond. My faith has it's a roller coaster, but right now it's a bedrock of how you, you have to grip on to something when everything is shaken and gone. And what do you hold to? And it's a faith in something divine that created you, that is goodness. And I'm sometimes at a loss for how I get through some of these times. But yeah, my faith has kept me from losing it and maybe wanting to get out of here early because I can't handle it.
Yeah. That speaks to me as someone who lives with a lot of questions, a lot of why questions, and I don't always feel strong enough to deal with some of the things in my life, and those are the times where I hear the phrase cast your cares away, let someone, something who's stronger carry those with you.
Come to me, all you who are weary, and I will give you rest. I think that the tired feeling and the weariness that is the ache that's in Steady On, that song, it just speaks to there's a divine voice, in this case Jesus, saying that I will give you rest. Come to me. And when you don't have anyone to come to, you got to go to someone. You got to have comfort. And and that verse particularly, I would say, is one that has held me, or I've held it. I don't know. Both, yeah.
I mean, well, it's a hug.
Yeah.
Right? Like you can't tell where the hug begins and where the hug ends.
And that's just it. Is like, that's what I love about funerals, is that you hug. Time goes by with your cousins, your family members, and you lose your uncle. He was technically my cousin, but he was like my uncle in my life. He passed away just over a year ago, and then his wife passed this year. And my cousin is just such a dear person to me. Their oldest son, and just the hugs, and that's to me, that's heaven as well. Just being able to hold another and just transfer the energy of your feelings of love and care, and how much you love that person that was lost, that was their father or their mom.
There's so much here. There's so much that we could talk about. We could talk all day. I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
But let's get on to our third song of the evening, and it's coming from Michael W. Smith's 1998 album, Live the Life. And the song we're talking about is Song for Rich. The song, it's an instrumental tribute to the contemporary Christian singer-songwriter Rich Mullins, who died in 1997 at the age of 41. And at the time, Mullins and a friend, they were traveling south on I-39 near Bloomington, Illinois, when they lost control of their Jeep. Neither man was wearing a seatbelt. Both were ejected from the Jeep, and Mullins died instantly. Mark, is it a coincidence that Rich Mullins appears, both in this song and then later in your playlist? Is that a coincidence, or is there a deeper meaning here?
No coincidence at all. Got to meet Rich summer of 1994 at a festival out in Willmar, Minnesota called Sunshine. I was 18 years old. I was very excited to be a part of the security team. My friend Jeff ran that team for years, and I got to be on that team for 5 of those years. And that was my first time, and I was just in love with all Christian music at that time. So I met Rich. I was behind the stage, and this is just would never happen now, but it's just so amazing. We had to work 7 2-hour shifts at the festival. And then we got breaks, and we could eat with the artists behind the stage. And so I was trying to meet this other artist who was kind of a jerk to me. And but up next to him, here comes this guy, shoeless, wearing no shoes, and he was just super chill. And he's like, "Hey, what's your name?" "I'm Rich." We met. It was a beautiful thing. He goes, I think I recognize you. I said, "You play that open piano thing, right?" He goes, "Yeah, Hammer Dulcimer. You want to come see it?" Takes me up on stage, goes into this tent, into this truck, unzips his Hammer Dulcimer, which is an unbelievable instrument not very many people play, much less in a song, the way he does. Played me the song Creed, personal concert. He said, "Hey, I hope I see you afterwards." And of course, at that time, everybody was signing the shirts. So he wrote a message to me on the shirt, which I still have 30 years later. Mark, be God's. Love, Rich. Isaiah 40:31. And he would die, in that tragic accident 3 years later. I remember being woken up and just... So when I hear the song, I think of meeting him, and there's so many stories about him and who he was and what he was like and how he modeled Christ. He was literally like that kind of a spirit Christ person in the flesh, and I got to meet him, and he's the real deal. And so I love this song because if I really need a good cry to let go of a lot of pain, I think of Rich. And I love all of his other songs. I could talk about all his music, but this one just gets me, and it's not even his song. It's just Michael's tribute to him.
And at a celebration of life or a funeral for yourself with this song, then what do you want people to walk away with when they hear it? Is it just a catalyst for grief? Or?
Well, I think it's that, but the embodiment of his faith in particular, because his faith is he was very influenced by a guy named Brennan Manning, a book called The Ragamuffin Gospel, and it's the gospel is for... The good news is for people who are broken, who don't have it all together, and that are not trying to put on a show and have a bunch of tenets. These people we're just real people. And the reason, I guess what I want to, have that conveyed is I just feel like Rich's life and the way he wrote lyrics, it comes out of that kind of broken pain that we all feel and we all need to heal. And it just stinks. I mean, I love life. I love the highs of life, but I hate the lows. They're so painful. But it seems like this type of message, this type of faith, I just resonated with it. And so that's what I want people to understand, is that my faith is not in some kind of bunch of cool ideas that are going to get me to be successful and I'm going to make a lot of money, or whatever. Like, it's just like... We're getting through this life together. We just need to just get through it. So that's what I feel. But it's hopeful in the sense that it is this instrument. I don't even know how to pronounce it. Uilleann pipes from Scottish Ireland. They're just beautiful, and it's just like an honor to him. It's an ode to him, and I'm just grateful. And I want people to just know, like, he had a huge impact on me, and it's a toast to him, but it's also a toast to the faith that I feel like he touched me, and I wanted people to remember me as a person who, I'm obviously a Christ follower, but I'm a fan, a big super fan of Rich.
Do you have your own thoughts or fears about death or end of life?
I think that I have gone full circle. Again, this is why the song The Meaning by The Fruition is very poignant, is that I'm not really afraid, like I think I was raised to be afraid of hell, to be afraid of separation from God. I just don't think that's in God's plan, to be separating himself from those he created. I don't have fears. I used to have, obviously, a great confidence in the afterlife. I would say some of my human experiences have clouded, whatever the hope of that future is. But I feel like what's the word? Well, how I live my life now is, I believe, like, we can be conduits and catalysts to bring heaven, whatever that is, to earth. That's what the eternal is, like a now. It's like now. And so I try to be that way. And so I'm not focused on, like, the after is just our way of describing something that is eternal. Like, it's not after. It's just is. Like, life goes on. And I feel like I'm wanting to be at peace. That's another thing with these songs, is bringing me to a place of like peace and contentment with like, I'm not afraid. Like to be human, to be where we are, is to actually like let go of fear and to be, just exist and be alive. Like, and it's whether we give our last breath, we're still going to live on. I just believe that. My whole thought about what the afterlife is it's just different. And I don't see it like I was raised. There was a book called 90 Minutes in Heaven where a guy was killed in a car accident. The guy's dead. He goes to heaven. All I remember from the book is he goes, I didn't see a light. I didn't see Jesus. I didn't see this. All I remember was music and the people. That's it. That's heaven. And I was like,
Music and people?
What he remembered about heaven was the music and the people.
What was the music like?
Well, he had his own description. I think it was more, his music that he loved was choral or whatever, or orchestral. It was layered upon layered upon layered. He said it was just so beyond, so high, so powerful. And it really resonated with me because that's to me what heaven is. I really feel that. Like that's why I DJ. That's why I do weddings. When we go to celebrations, and then you find the groove and you find that song, and everyone is joining in anthemically, whether it's Sweet Caroline or a song nobody's heard or whatever. They just get into it. You can just see the joy, the life, and that is the drug that I'm living for. That's heaven.
Welcome back to Your Funeral Music, where we're listening to the jams you won't get to hear. Our guest of the week is Mark Haugen. Thank you for being here, Mark.
Wonderful to be here.
This next song of yours, it is a big burst of energy from an American composer by the name of Stu Phillips, known for his film scores and TV theme songs like McCloud, Knight Rider, and our next song of the evening, the theme from 1978's Battlestar Galactica. Okay, so silly question here. Are you a Battlestar Galactica fan? Just taking a guess.
So interestingly, like obviously there's a version from that era that I watched, which was probably reruns because I was only 3 at the time, or whatever, 4. And so I love the show, but as is kind of true to me, like I love the music. I mean, the theme songs during that time, and you speak of Stu Phillips, Knight Rider later was my favorite like show / theme. You can't separate whether it's Dukes of Hazzard or Airwolf or MASH or, these shows, Friends, even The Office to the modern, like these songs, you cannot divorce the show from the music. It's just what it is. So interestingly enough, I did like the show. I've since, not even cared about Battlestar Galactica later in life because there's a newer version of it or whatever. But for whatever reason, I love the trumpets because I played trumpet in junior high school, and I'm kicking myself for quitting because I love playing it. I didn't like practicing. I like playing it, but I didn't like practicing, which is not good. You got to practice. But this song in particular, it's just different. It sounds like John Williams wrote it. And it feels like John Williams, but it has this feeling of like, if I'm at my funeral and I'm in a casket, which I haven't really decided, I don't have a living will yet because I'm going to live a long time. But anyways, if I do, I want this is the song of like, the anthem to begin, like, the processional,
yeah.
Like this is it. Like, and obviously there's the short version that we're going to play, but there's the longer version as well. So it's not as much of a meaningful song. I will say this. I feel like the image that I'm reminded of is this idea that we are in a battle. And as a kid at my house, this speaks to my faith. My mom and dad back in the 80s, 70s and 80s, they had plaques with our names on the wall. These wooden plaques, and there would be your name and then the Bible verse, but there was a phrase to describe what the name meant. Whether or not it actually means that, I don't know. But it said, Mark, mighty warrior. And so I believe it was Psalm 29, something was on there. But anyways, when I like watch shows that are battle, like that like I feel like I'm battling for something, and I don't even really know why, but I think that this is even teaching me, like, I'm battling for, I'm an soldier in the army for life. Like, I'm battling for people to live your life to the full. Like, I'm in that. I'm not fighting against anybody. I'm fighting for this cause, essentially. So that's kind of what I get out of it and why I like the song. And I just love, I don't know how it makes me feel. I feel like it's like, here I go. Maya Angelou's quote is my favorite quote. People won't remember what you said. They'll remember what you did. They'll remember how you made them feel. And I feel like people in music does that to me, where like I don't remember Battlestar Galactica a whole lot. I just know that that song makes me feel a certain way, and I want people to know that this song really, it gets me in a place where I'm like, that's me. It feels like me.
So when you were talking about it makes you feel a certain way, it just makes you feel like you.
Yeah, like
it's not
like
a feeling. It's
again,
you.
and you'll see the theme later. With the Rich thing about home. I'm looking for home as a person who was adopted, who was given up, and I got placed in a wonderful home here in Minnesota. That's why we're even talking, because I got planted here. This is where I've been. But there's aspects of it that don't feel like home. And when I get into certain songs and music, and I think that's why I've picked some of these, is that it feels like home to me. Like when I play this theme, like that's me. And I don't, it may not have the same visual space energy, imagery of the show, but like that's me, dude.
Welcome back to Your Funeral Music, where we're listening to the jams you won't get to hear. Our guest of the week is Mark Haugen, and that was his song, the theme from Battlestar Galactica. I could totally see you in that, Mark.
I'm glad. It's just a feeling. I don't know how to say it other than that, and I just, yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
And you talked about your search for going home, which kind of brings us to, or your search for home, which kind of brings us to our next song. And one of the phrases, one of the words that kind of came up in research for your program tonight, Mark, is the term homegoing in reference to someone's death. Have you ever heard that, homegoing?
Yes.
Have you also ever referred to someone's death as coming home?
I don't know if I exactly have.
Going home?
Going home, yeah. I mean, it's really difficult because you kind of have to know the person to speak to that. I feel it can be well-meaning to say certain things to people, but I have really learned to just, if I don't have a connection, I don't know that person, I'm really going to just be more, not generic, but I probably won't say much just because I feel like I don't know what that means for them. I got to know their story and their faith or lack thereof or whatever. But the hope is that, yeah, you'll find a place of rest, because we all need, and as I get older, the more and more I just need every day about 7.5 to 8 hours of rest, or I'm worthless. And so this weekend it was just crazy I didn't hardly sleep. And so it's just been catching up, and I'm just like, I just need a week of great rest. That's what I need. And that's not just rest physically, but just, we all need to find a place of rest, which to me is home, a safe place to just take your shoes off and lay down and kick your feet up. So that's not going.
Well, no, this is perfect. This is all perfect, because it does tie in beautifully to this next artist. We're talking about Leon Bridges and his debut studio album, Coming Home. And the song that we're going to listen to next is River. And the chorus of the song, "Take Me to the River, I Want to Go, I Want to Know." I think that it's a really beautiful song, and I believe in terms of the context of sinning and faith and being forgiven for your sins. With this song, Mark, are you concerned about your sins or being wiped clean, or is this you singing like, "I want to go, I want to know, I want to go down to the river to have my sins wiped away"? Is this you singing or something else?
I think it's both, and it is definitely the longer I live, the more I realize how the problem with mistakes, sins, that is what it does to relationships. It fractures relationships. You lose, something is lost when you're committing a sin, or you're neglecting, or whatever it is that you're doing. And I definitely am communicating it for myself. I feel like this song is more far reaching than a lot of gospel songs, and it's more human, like the way Leon writes this, or can we call him his real name, Todd? But anyways, yeah. Which is, he couldn't be called Todd Bridges, because then we would think about Todd Bridges from Different Strokes.
Actor,
but anyways, that's a whole nother tangent. But
wasn't Todd also in an episode of I researched, I think he was in an episode of Battlestar Galactica? Or
that is absolutely would be altogether possible. I have no idea, but
same timeline.
That sounds right. But anyways, long story short, yes, it's me wanting to go to the river, but the river is peace. It is a cleansing. It is healing, but it's also life. Like when you watch rivers, even like the ones now that are super flooded here, like you just can't dam them. Like it's gonna keep going, and we need it to kind of heal. But then it also sends us on a path to where we're supposed to go, because it's scary, because you go in a river, like, right where we're rafting. I don't know if you've ever done that, but like that's crazy. Like you just
hold on.
You're just holding on tight to, oh boy, But the thing of it is, for others, like I feel like this song is so healing for anybody, like to just let go of and be washed, be cleansed, be you can't have peace and you can't rest, you can't find home unless you like are okay with yourself coming as you are. Like you have to come as you really are. And I have a hard time with that, because
why?
I'm ashamed. Like, I mean, I'm ashamed of things that I've done, or relationships that I've screwed up, or whatever, I've abandoned, or I don't like when I don't live the faith that I say that I believe, like that hurts people. That's another quote from Brennan Manning that I could share, but I won't right now, but maybe later. But coming home is, you got to go to the river. River is like a song that takes you to a place where I think you can, as you let go, let the river wash away the sins, wash away the pain, wash away the things that you've done wrong. Then you can come back to relationship again, because you're healed.
Welcome back to Your Funeral Music. Each week we slow down to contemplate our mortality with a new guest, listening to the songs they want played at their funeral and the meaning behind the music. To learn more about our program or to be a guest on the show, visit us online at yourfuneralmusic.com. Our guest this week is Mark Haugen, and I'm your host, Michael Vensky. Thank you for joining us. Our next song was written and recorded by the British rock band Coldplay for the 2014 film Unbroken, which is based on a true story of how during World War II, U.S. soldiers, they crashed into the ocean. They were left adrift in a raft for 47 days, only to be rescued by the Japanese and then swiftly sent to prisoner of war camps where these soldiers were tortured and then later finally freed after many years of torture. You had mentioned to me, Mark, a little bit before that you haven't seen the film. So then where does this song Miracles, Someone Special, how did it come into your life?
So I like Coldplay overall. I think they really make great music and melodies. You know, they're not beloved; they're hated by a lot of folks. But I
Really?
Oh yeah. I mean, people that just don't like their kind of version of pop. Maybe they don't like Chris Martin. I'm not sure. I think they're very talented.
Yeah.
Band. But I came at this particular song. I don't know exactly when. I feel like I listened to it probably maybe 2017. But I'm just a big believer that my faith is in miracles because I've seen miracles happen. And so where it really hit me that this song has and music can change things is when I was driving Uber, I believe it was early 2019. I got a call. I got a pickup down at, I believe it was a Fairview Hospital in Burnsville. And I get a call. I can't remember the name it was a woman's name. She calls me as I'm en route, and she says, my son just tried to take his life, and he did it unsuccessfully, and I need you to take him carefully home. And it was about a 30-minute ride. So then I pick up this kid. His name was also Mark, and we had a conversation. I said, "Hey man, what's up, man? What's going on? Obviously, it's been rough." And I think he was 18 or 19. He's like, "Yeah, man, it's hard. Like, nobody understands me. I feel very alone. But for whatever reason, this song, like, I was like, I think he needs to hear this song." I said, "Man, like, for whatever reason, you tried unsuccessfully, but I think there's a reason you're here. Like, you're special." So I put the song on, played it, and he just literally was like, "Wow, like, I have something to live for." And it's like he came into my car like completely broken. And when he left, like when the ride was done, after him hearing that song, he was like on cloud nine. Like he was literally like, I have hope for life, to be that kind of conduit. And so that song means a lot to me just from remembering that, because then I've referenced it over and over for many different people. You might be in the absolute dumps today, and it's terrible and it's awful. But if you hang in there, like, there's on the other side of this thing, there's something special, someone special here that you need to meet that could turn everything around. It's not the end. And so that's why I love the song, because it makes me realize that when I'm in my own dumps and I'm having like really low lows, like, just hang in there, because there's something special around the corner. So that's why I love that song.
So this song then isn't, so Miracles, Someone Special isn't then to someone special in your life. It's more of a general.
Well, again, music is so powerful. So far be it for me to say it has to be applied one way. I think these songs can apply to many different people. So in a way, I will say this. I would submit that as I listen to this song, I'm going to close my eyes. I'm going to think about to my wife, to my kids, to my dad. It's Father's Day, just right after Father's Day here. Just thinking about how special they are to me. So there's just so many layers. But the reason I tell that story is because I've always wanted to be remembered. If I'm, again, this is my funeral. Like, I just want to be a conduit for transformation for people to go from like this really dark, deep, painful place to like, you can be lifted up out of that. Even though we have these feelings of hopelessness, if we talk it out and we be seen and we be heard and we just, I love doing these kind of interviews, but I love listening to people's stories of what they're going through so that I can be there. I never used to be empathetic. I was very, into me for a long time.
Well, that you shared that you're a Sagittarius.
Yeah.
common.
Yeah. So
No, I'm joking. My brother's a Sagittarius. I'm sorry.
So, and then I married my wife, who is right on the border of the two on May 21st. I forget what the two
Gemini and Taurus.
Yeah, Taurus. So, but she's totally empathetic, and it really helped me. And okay, so I will say this song
Miracles?
It's a miracle that I did meet and marry my wife of now almost 24 years, who's really, been a miracle to me to teach me how to be a good listener and to be empathetic and to be able to respond to people, in a really good way where I'm not just, I can riff off on about anything, right? But just to stop and go, let's just listen right now, Mark, so that's another miracle. And I believe I just heard this line, which I don't even remember hearing the first time that I was listening to this, or many of the times.
So little things are jumping out at you.
Yeah, I think it was don't go to war with yourself. Is that what it says? He says at the end. Let's see. Yeah, don't go to war with yourself. I would say that's my biggest enemy right now is myself, because I'm very hard on myself.
You're an artist.
Yeah. And so, that's the hardest part of this battle. So then again, battle scar, mighty warrior. But if you turn on yourself, boy, you're in for big trouble. So there's an aspect of going to the river to get forgiveness so you can forgive yourself.
Welcome back to Your Funeral Music. Our next song is released. It was a single that was released in 2016 from the American synth pop band Great, Good, Fine, Okay, or GGFO, GGFO. Great, Good, Fine, Okay. The tune is everything to me, and this GGFO sound, I think it feels a lot older than the 11 years that they've been around. But this song, how did you discover Great, Good, Fine, Okay?
I'm going to say that I found them more than likely either New Music Friday on Spotify, or I think they have a thing called Discover Weekly, which takes your already preferences and sort of pushes like certain artists that you might be into it. Because of course I love the 80s music. I'm a kid of the 80s, born in the 70s, but grew up in the 80s, and so I love synth pop. And these guys did it in such a way where the new synth, if done right with the right stacking, it's even more intense than those 80s hits, And so I just loved this jam. And then it really was very prescient to what was going on in the winter of 2016 for me. And those lyrics, when a songs are miracles, because they come out and somebody has this song they write, but are they writing it, or they're
the conduit through which it comes out?
It's coming in, and you can hear a song when you're a kid and you don't relate to it, and then suddenly you come into an experience and it's literally like what you're living, and it's just it's a drug, but it's also just like, how could they possibly know what I'm going through? Yeah. This is just it. And that's what this song is. I'm looking through the song, through this process, to find not only hope through those I've lost that are dead, but I also want to find loss to look beyond the pain of those I can't see that are still living. And so I think what I want to be remembered in this, and why I want to talk about it and process it, because it's super joy, super pain. How do I get through it? I want to toast, because it brought about so many things that did change me. And I did lose the faith that I had, but that begat then this new faith that I started to build that's totally different and a lot smarter, a lot more wise. I think my faith is slower, it's grounded, it's like, it's not based on high experiences, which prior to that always was. The highest experience was my faith, was what it was based on. Now I need it based on something like real. So anyways, that song, I want that, maybe not at my funeral, but definitely it's going to live somewhere.
As we begin transitioning ourselves toward the end of the evening here on Your Funeral Music, we have our next artist, Jacob Collier, helping us set the tone. Mark, this next song, Little Blue, it was released as a single in 2023 and then more recently included on Collier's 4th volume of his project, Jesse, which was released in February of this year. Super new song. How did you discover this song? It hasn't been out long.
No. So my 20-year-old Tabby, has been very into Jacob. My wife kind of, found out about him through my daughter, and actually how I came into him, I think I probably saw him on YouTube. He did these Flintstones, 9-part harmony like videos. So it's a video of him and all his parts, and I mean, I didn't really listen to even his albums prior to this, but what catches me, and it's probably just the social media, is these interactive kind of, again, I chase really unique experiences. He does a concert, but his concerts aren't just him performing. He suddenly becomes the choir director, and the people that come to his shows are amazing vocalists. My sister probably out in Connecticut, where I'm from, introduced me, I think. And so to fast forward to now, and why this song in particular is great, and why I wanted to bring it up, is that it's just only a week ago I saw him live at
The Armory.
The Armory. And I wasn't going to go. It actually was, so my daughter Tabby, who's just big super fan, got ticket for my wife for her birthday to take her, and it was going to be a date night for them, And then all of a sudden, my sister, a week and a half ago, says, "Hey, I'm actually getting your niece, 19, Caroline, who's even more of a super fan, wanted to see Jacob, and I'm going to fly her to Minnesota so she can see him. And then would you go with?" I'm like, "Sure." And so I'd heard the album before, or the song before the concert, and it's just, I think the theme is you're not going to be alone. There's something about it that's peace. There's a lot of peace in it that feels like home to me in the lyrics, because I'm trying to chase, I've always been trying to find home, to find a place of peace where I don't feel alone. And this particular line, it's kind of like, yeah, there's this hopefulness of like there's a separation in the song, and there's a light that leads me back, that you're not far away. It's almost like he's singing from the other side, but not necessarily. I don't know if it's heaven or if he's singing from here to there. It's kind of both ways. And there's an aspect of feeling alone when we reference the previous song, of there's so much hopelessness feeling in blue. That's why I love blue. It's not actually my favorite color, but it's close. It's second. Green is my favorite, but blue is my second favorite. And there's just something about that color that is a feeling and a tone. And this song is blue, but then it gives some hope that you're not alone in this. And it feels like almost like a side B, or is it side B? Is it, what do they call it on the records?
The B-side?
The B-side. Why did I call it side B? B-side. The B-side to Everything to Me is this kind of peaceful little blue hope. And
so this would be Everything to Me, and Little Blue then would be released as like a single or a little EP, and then
yeah. And so I don't even know exactly I haven't unpacked this song maybe as much as I, because obviously it's newer. I haven't listened to it as many times as I've listened to all these other ones. But it's this calling to be my light, to be my compass, to be my darkness, be my danger, be the strings of my guitar, Little Blue, how I love you. Like there's an aspect of just like, no matter what has happened, the positive, the negative, like I'm still committed to this, to seeing this through. And then it was so cool because to be at the show and then to see them do it. Now, Brandi Carlile unfortunately wasn't there, but it was really, really even better than the recording, right? And that's what you just love. But he does this choir thing. He did Somebody to Love for the closer, and then the 4-part harmonies of the choir, the guests, the symphony that's in the audience. That is magic, and that's why I love this song. So it's for my kids. I think I just want them to, I've had a dad who's kind of struggled with finding home. Where is home? But it's with them. I love each of my kids so much, and I'm really happy that I've got a college graduate that's got their first job, working just a 4-hour drive away. Got a 20-year-old that's exploring all of her art in the fullest of ways, living here for maybe a couple more months, and I think they're going to move to New York. So I love them and their creative juices, and Tabby was the one who was really into Jacob Collier and got to go to that concert with them, which was amazing. But I've got Malia and Ivy with me right now, and this song is just to help them through if I'm gone early, that you'll find your way, and home is in the heart. Home is where the heart is. And you, Malia and Ivy, are in my heart. Tabby, Elliot, you're in my heart. Anna, you're in my heart. And I just want you to know how much I just care deeply for all of you and want the best for you. And you're not alone. Your dad is always with you. I was lucky enough with my wife to go, and then our 2 youngest kids, on a 6-month road trip around the U.S., end of 2022 till May of 2023, seeing 24 states, sea to shining sea. It was an amazing trip, and so many wonderful experiences with my kids and with my wife, and just seeing the world and being on that journey of, because the original idea was to maybe look for a different home. It was back in 2021. I wasn't so sure I wanted to stay in St. Paul, and it turns out we're back. We're here in St. Paul. This is home, but home is in the hearts of those that you love and you meet, and it's much more complicated, much more layered than just how we decide that, well, real estate says this is a home, this is a house. It is a home, but it can be on the road. The road can be home too. So that's what we learned. And I don't know. Yeah, I think my kids, I think they'll appreciate it the more in time we go. But I'm grateful for being here at this moment, as tough as it is some days for me. I'm very grateful. I have a lot to be thankful for, and especially them. So I'm grateful for this, and this is helping me figure out my home and figure out why things are the way they are, and that's okay. Like I'm really grateful. So this has been fun. I mean, Jacob Collier, I didn't think. I mean, he was the last minute ad, and I had no idea that I was going to go to the show. That was okay. My one core value, number one, is surprise. That's a core value. Like, I absolutely live on surprise. So that call from my sister saying, I'm flying your niece to see Jacob Collier. Can she stay overnight, and can you go with her? Like, I had I was not ready for that. It came out of left field, and I was like, yes. And it gives me this crazy dopamine boost. And that's how I get through life, is like, I'm doing my thing, and then suddenly somebody comes in and just interrupts the flow, and it's like, go here. And you're like, yes, that's it. That's life.
Do you ever feel like that's divine intervention?
Yeah. I mean, it's like being known and being seen. Even, the hard things, losing my best friend, that was, I mean, I didn't understand it then because I remember being in there. What really was the hardest part was he's going through a bone marrow transplant because he'd had chemotherapy, he had cancer in 2005. He went through this hardcore thing. He was totally all clear in 2008, which would eventually, wreck his white blood cells. So he had to get a bone marrow transplant. Goes in, and I remember being there, and it wasn't good. And then the doctor or the nurse came in and said, "So what's the dose that we're supposed to give? Is it 50 or is it 0.5?" They were asking us. What? And I'm not family. I'm not even supposed to be in there. And this is pre-COVID, right? I was like, you got to be kidding me. So if you give him this and it's too much, like, what are you doing? Like, this is crazy. Like, I was just absolutely so I remember running out and just yelling, like, at the universe, at God, like, come on. Like, he might die. And of course, that was what God was trying to get me to be like, hey, he might not make it. And then he passed. And so that was just so, but it just wrecked me. But then why? Why would somebody at 35? Because then a year later, his dad, same exact blood transfusion, gets it, takes perfectly. He's still living. Why? I don't understand why. Well, then lots of things go on. The kids are 4, 6, 4, and 8, 4, 6, and 8, the boys. But you fast forward to the last couple of years, and then you start to see them growing up and those boys becoming who they're becoming. And then Jen got remarried to a guy who's also has 3 musicians in his family. It's like the Brady Bunch, literally 3 girls, 3 boys. And then they play together, and you're just like, wow, this is like a really cool story. And you're just like, it was meant to be this way. I don't understand why, still somewhat part because I just miss my friend, right? Yeah. But his life is living on through this story, and it's beautiful. So yeah, I don't know. There's always going to be these questions of why when something really terrible happens or something gets interrupted, divine intervention to the good or bad. Because even if something's good for you, it might be bad for someone else. That's what I've also realized.
What are your thoughts about after death then? You've talked a little bit about heaven. You talked about heaven with being with other people, present with other people, and playing music for them, and they're rejoicing, right? Yeah. So, but after the physical body, our physical bodies expire, which happens to all living things. Yeah. Very scientific stance.
Proved it. Yes.
What in your heart do you feel happens after death?
It's really interesting because I think I used to really, dwell on this, 30 years ago. I don't think about it a lot. I feel like I need to figure out at least some semblance of a truth about it that I think that it is. And I just think we enter a different dimension somehow, someplace. I don't know that it's completely unconnected to here because my best friend, which I should share this story, that I dreamt about him because we would talk about this when I cared about what the heaven was. He and I would always kind of debate, like, I don't think it's like we just go to some other place, what's the not purgatory, but just these other places that are sort of seemingly made up in our heads. He just felt like it's like a different place. And so like we would talk about dreaming and stuff. And while I had this dream, this is right before his son actually asked to play a show. Jeremy has been in my dreams like 5 times up to this point. And he came in this dream and it was so real because he used to tour and do music and shows. And I was kind of like his promoter, right? So you tell me this. In this dream, he comes and he's like, dude, I'm back. And I was like, what do you mean you're back? He's like, no, I'm back. Like, I don't know what to do. Jen's remarried. His wife's now remarried. And like, I want to play shows and I got new songs. And I was like, should I go on tour? And I'm like, yes, let's do it. Like, I was just so like I was just like, this is real. Like, this is real. No way. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I wake up and maybe 2 weeks later is when his son says, hey, I want to play a show at your studio. Can I do it? I'm like, yes. And so, he's back, just in a new body. So I think that my perspective is, it's just another dimension that we lose the physical person. We lose, my body's no longer here, but I'm not gone, because that's why we do this show. That's why I think I'm propelled to talk about what we're doing right here, and why I think this show is amazing, is we've got to let everything that we've been given just pour it out, because it's alive. And as we're giving it out, people can grab it, people can listen to it, people can like run with it. It's like batons. You just pass batons to people, because when you're gone, they can run with it. Like, you're not gone. I mean, I sit and I listen to Alan Watts. He's been dead for how many years? I listen to, Maya Angelou is my favorite poet. There's all these people that have written stuff down, Rich Mullins, all these songwriters. We get to enjoy it for the rest of our lives. It's not dead. They're alive. These things are alive.
You're embracing the reality of this and how precious life is. But where did that come from? That's what I want to know. Because it sounds like there's a lot.
So it really, as far as like going back, it's almost like therapy. All right, we're having a therapy session. Is like first memories is like when you're 4 or 5 and you're adopted, and there's so many different ways that families deal with this, but my parents really were just very open right away that you're adopted. Yay, this is great. And it was like this, they were not shying away from it. They were encouraging this talk. They weren't encouraging me to go find this, you know what I mean? That they were just saying, this is great. You're our son, but I knew, talking with my godfather, who was, it turns out later when I found out, he was the guardian of the adoption on behalf of my birth mom. And then, he became sort of the person in between the story. He, it was just, I knew innately, even at maybe 6 or 7, that I wanted to say thank you to my mom, and to say thank you for giving me life. Like I just had an appreciation. I don't know where it came from, but it just was there. And so, and then, I have had 2 near death. Well, I mean, maybe more than that. I think 3, almost being hit by a car. Like, I'm literally like just centimeters from getting completely clocked at 60 miles an hour. But the 2 big ones were almost drowning twice, once in the ocean with my then 8-year-old kid. Like, I was trying to surf and she was over there, and luckily, the rip current took me out, and then a wave crashed me back. But I definitely have been close. And yes, I also have lost.
Now, you've shared a lot of new music with me personally tonight, Mark, and as we've kind of been talking about your music and exploring the different aspects and meaning of your life, it's fitting that our next track and group are no different. Coming from Portland, Oregon-based quintet Fruition. This is off their 2016 album Labor of Love. The song is The Meaning, talking about your life and the meaning for why things have happened the way that they did. Do you have an answer, Mark, about what does it all mean? Is what's this song about? The meaning of life, everything?
I mean, so this song is fairly new to me. It's almost not, it's just as fresh almost as the Jacob Collier track. It's basically just summarizing the joy, the pain, and it's posing the question. The sun stayed up just long enough to make it clear that just what we're doing here. I was born to love you. I will die and go back to stardust. All I know about being alive is that life's for the living. I ain't seeking salvation, not worried about damnation, got little expectation, and as such, I ain't easily let down. All I want to do is be close to you while we're still both around. I want to be around and fully live this life now. That's what I'm here to pass on. And like, it's weird as a funeral song, right? It's almost like you're not there, dude. Like, but I hopefully I lived this truth. I want to embody this truth. I feel like I am. But that's the lyric. What is it all about? It's about living that line. I just it gets me every single time I listen to this song. It's about the living. Life's for the living.
You're talking about legacy a bit here. How do you want to be remembered? What do you think of for your legacy?
My I guess I have to distill it down to just ready to I'm a miracle. Like there's miracles, situations you can't believe that you're in. Like miracles will happen, and I've just been blessed with so many miraculous things that have happened to me. I'll give you one example. We have a mutual friend, Philip. So I was supposed to take my dad to a Twins game this a month ago, and my dad couldn't go, so I asked Philip, hey, let's go. So we go. I'm meeting my cousin and his business partner. I just buy tickets wherever. Nosebleed's cheapest. Whatever. My cousin's going to meet me there. Philip and I go early. We walk around the thing. Of course, we sit in a section where they say, nope, you can't sit there. Long story short, we find a section during the national anthem. We just pick right center field. We sit down. For whatever reason, my cousin, who normally lives on his phone all the time, like doesn't respond to me. Between half innings, here he comes, looking at his phone. He's with his friend, his business partner, and they come down and they sit. And he holds up his phone. And he goes, "No way." Where Philip and I randomly sat was right next to the seats that my cousin and his business partner paid for. Section 132, row 3, seat 6. I don't know. Like, what I want to be remembered for is serendipity that puts a smile on your face. Says, I can't explain that, but wow. That's it.
What closing message do you want to share with listeners?
Oh man, pour it out. Like all of life, not just the serendipity, joyous things. There's surprises that will rip your heart out, right? You gotta let it all in, and that. Oh, some days I just don't want to feel the pain that I feel some days of loss. So it doesn't, but that's not living. You're faking it if you're not accepting those things. So I think the closing message is go all in. Go all in. And this is a message to myself, because I think I can be imposter sometimes myself. And so I don't ever want to be the person who's telling you or imploring you to do something that I'm not willing to do. So I think, if anything, that I'm at this midpoint in my life where I want to live to 100. I'm not quite to 50. I just want to go all in with the rest of my life and experience everything I meant to experience. And so that's my encouragement to all y'all. I'm from the South. No, I'm not. Just go all in, because you'll never regret going all in.
Welcome back to Your Funeral Music, where we're listening to the jams you won't get to hear, and our guest of the week is Mark Haugen. Mark, thank you so much for being here with us and exploring the meaning of life. It's a big topic, but I think together we're doing just fine.
Yeah, no, I mean, life's for the living. This is it's so much of this experience of even recording this has been transformative for me to go through and allow the river to wash over me of these songs, because they are kind of almost their own spaces. Once you, again, these days it's a lot more visual. People are obviously finding out the music through videos and all this. I think the best part is when you actually just put your headphones on, close your eyes, and just let whatever's meant to happen. And that's what I've been doing. And it's really been transformative, so much so that I feel like I'm different, and I have a new perspective on how I want to see my life going forward after this, because it is it's just important to let it all in. I do have one thing I'm going to share at the end, and I will share it, and it's super brief. That is something that I think will really help everyone, that I want people to know. And at my funeral, actually, it's a short poem. So anyways, this has been great, Michael. Thank you so much.
Do you want to share the poem?
I do want to share the poem. I think it should be after our last song.
Okay.
If that's okay.
Yeah,
It's a wonderful poem. It's called Allow. And I think I just tagged a part of a line from it, and I'm got to pull it up. So, but this has been great. The meaning, this song, is just, it's one of those songs that my battle with the spiritual of figuring it out. What does this all mean? They simplified it down to just live. And actually, when my best friend passed, that was his tagline. And now a lot of his close friends have tattoos that say "Now live." So he would write letters and he would sign them, "Now live." And that's the legacy. It's just to live it to the full.
Well, I hope you, dear listener out there, are living your life however you inspires you to live your life to the best and biggest proportions possible. We're closing our evening tonight with Rich Mullins's "If I Stand," and it's a very powerful song that ends with this line: if I weep, let it be as a man who is longing for his home." And here we are again at the end of the night, and we're hearing this word "home" again. Tell us, Mark, what this song means to you, and why we're closing here, if that matters, or if this song can be anywhere, or...
Well, again, if we go back to song 3, the song for Rich and meeting him, and I actually wasn't into this particular song at the time of his passing. I was into an album called A Liturgy, Legacy, and a Ragamuffin Band. It's just one of those albums that is just perfect. It's like when an artist makes an album and it's just every song from beginning, start to finish, it's just complete. And I tell people, if I had to be stuck with an album on an island by myself, it would be Rich Mullins's Liturgy, Legacy, Ragamuffin Band. So he passes away. Then he was recording his final album of demos right before he passed, called The Jesus Record. And then his band left behind went and recorded those songs, finished them, and then went on tour with them. And at the tour, this is fall of '98. This is at Bethel University. And they did this song. They did "If I Stand." And it is a paradox, because I think their other line is, "If I can't, let me fall upon the grace that first brought me to you." This song brings me back home to the faith that I had as a kid, which is simple. It's just trusting. It's being open. It's being just ready to experience life, go on a roller coaster for the first time, hearing the thing for the first time. And that's home. So like there's a weeping that I've experienced listening to all these songs as I see myself passing from this life to homegoing or whatever that is. I want to be known as someone who is, longing. I'm always longing for home. And I'm not satisfied with the way we package what home is. I'm just not. It's not enough for me to say, well, this is what home is. Yeah, it is, but it's also, it's more nuanced. It's more expansive than just the American definition. And so I feel at home with so many different kinds of people. I feel very at home, right, hanging with you. Philip is another one. I love that guy. I feel like I'm home. And so many of my friends just make me feel at home. And we're never in anybody's house. We might be at a bar. We might be at Target Center. We might be at Target Field. It doesn't matter. That's home. Home for me is where hearts congeal and click and feel together, and we can hug each other and high five and be bros and be friends, be kids, So that's me. That song really, it's like, I don't know. There's so many words in it. He's such a wordsmith, but I just think that it just feels like home.
Welcome back to Your Funeral Music. Our guest of the week joining us here is Mark Haugen. Thank you for sharing all of these songs with us tonight, Mark. I know it's not always easy to sit down and think about such a big topic, but I'm very grateful that you took the time and energy to share not only these songs, but the stories and what they mean to your life and your heart and to your family and friends who will hear these one day.
Yeah.
You mentioned a poem, and you shared, you just emailed it to me here. Do you wanna tell us about this poem and
I
share
will.
some?
I will. And I actually did close my eyes and listen to the "If I Stand" again, and to just let it wash over me. It's like if I stand, but if I fall. If I sing, if I weep, like these are like things that he just then paints a picture around. And I don't know why, but I love how artists can create these spaces for you to feel like home. Like the longing for home is, and feeling that you're not alone in longing for home is home. Like it becomes self-fulfilling. And I feel like what happened to me, the everything to me situation when it ended, when it broke, whatever you want to call it, was lost. I think that's the best way to describe it. A DJ friend who's also a monk, a Buddhist monk, took me to Jikoji, where actually Steve Jobs was mentored by Kobun. And I went up to this mountain outside of San Francisco and sat under a dharma from a monk there, and he shared this poem that my DJ friend said, "Can you read that again? I think this is for my friend." It's called "Allow" by Dana Folds. There is no controlling life. Try corralling a lightning bolt containing a tornado. Dam a stream and it will create a new channel. Resist and the tide will sweep you off your feet. Allow and grace will carry you to higher ground. The only safety lies in letting it all in. The wild and the weak, fear, fantasies, failures, and success. When loss rips off the doors of your heart, or sadness veils your vision with despair, practice simply becomes bearing the truth. In the choice to let go of your known way of being, the whole world is revealed to your new eyes. When he read that, I wept. Just to allow what you can't control. That's the river. That's home. It's human. And that's what I want to leave. There's a song by Cloud Cult that could have made the cut called I Love You All. I love you, Mom. I love you, Dad. I love you, Anna. I love you, Elliot, Tabby, Malia, Ivy. I love all my family. I love all my friends, my close ones. Jeremy, Ben, my cousin Chad. Oh my gosh, I have so many friends I'm going to leave out, but I love you all. And that's a legacy that I want to leave. Legacy of love, of hope, of faith, of miracles, of joy, of pain. But my sister Julie, my sister Tracy, my nieces. Oh, so many people to love. I hope that you know that life is fun to live through all of it. So let's go. Hold on tight.
Special thanks to our guest this week, Mark Haugen. To be a guest on Your Funeral Music, visit us online at yourfuneralmusic.com. Join us next week when we'll have a new guest and a new playlist reflecting on what it means to be alive and how we want to be remembered after we're gone.